are now joined by the MNRE Secretary, Mr. Bhupinder Singh Bhalla. He's got a lot of money to spend, courtesy the Finance Minister, in this budget. 19,100 crore rupees being allocated towards the new and renewable energy space. Mr. Bhalla, many thanks for joining us here on the program. Let me start by asking you about the allocation. It's a significant allocation now, and of course there is a green transition roadmap that the government has spoken of as well. Give us a sense of what we should now expect in terms of next steps on spending.
Basically we had, let me give you a comparison. Last year we had allocation about 10,000 crores. And this time it's almost doubled to about 19,100 crores. And I think that shows the commitment of the government for what we are doing in green energy transition. A larger portion of this is, of course, primarily meant for the new rooftop solar scheme, the PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana, where we have a very ambitious target of 1 crore households. We had a smaller allocation last year. We have a rooftop scheme.
Yes.
We were, of course, progressing on it, but of course now with the ambitious target, we need the money. And we also want to roll out the subsidy as quickly as possible. We do not want delays in that. And therefore, looking at 1 crore target that we have, that has garnered us much more allocation than last year.
No, absolutely. It has garnered you much more allocation. But on the rooftop solar scheme, because we spoke about it in the last budget when that initial provision was made, what has been the success? And in terms of being able to get to this 1 crore number, which, as you pointed out, is the ambitious task, what is the roadmap?
For arriving at 1 crore installations, you need 1 crore applications. And for that, you need people to register and express their interest for the scheme. And you'll be happy to know that we achieved 1.29 crore registrations for the scheme already on the national portal. And that shows that people have already expressed interest in going for rooftop solar.
So 1.29 crore applicants.
They have already registered on the scheme. Basically, you have to first register, express an interest that, yeah, you are interested. Then you have to go ahead and apply for it. And when you make an application, you are supposed to look at how much space you have, how much capacity of rooftops you need. So you have to do a little bit more homework. You need a little assistance from an expert. Then you have to make an application. And after the application is made, then you have to go ahead and install it after the procedural formalities are completed. We've already achieved over 15 lakh applications under the scheme in about 5 months. We've already achieved an installation of about 2.3 lakh pumps. 2.3 lakh rooftop solar.
So 2.3 lakh of the 15 lakh that applied?
Yes, have already been installed in the last few months. And that shows the scale at which we are progressing. And just to give you an idea, just to give you a comparison, in the earlier rooftop scheme, and we've had rooftop solar scheme for since 2015, and we did an installation of about 8 lakh rooftop solar systems in about 9 years. And now we've already installed over 2.3 lakh systems in just over 5 months. And that shows the scale at which we are progressing.
So what do you think you'll be able to end at in this financial year?
Well, we want to reach 1 crore as quickly as possible.
But do you believe that that's doable in this financial year?
It is. See, what happens is when you're launching a scheme, we had the system earlier, but when increasing it at that scale, the ecosystem has to come up on the ground. You need to have vendors on the ground across the country in every place that the people want to install. You need to have vendors who have experts, who have people to install. And you can still have somebody to have an office, but you have to have people, you have to have teams on the ground. And that ecosystem is now building up. In fact, now, last year we had about 3,000 vendors on the national portal. We already had 7,300 vendors. Now, we also have over 50 national vendors on the portal, and that shows the scale. So gradually this will increase in the next few months. And you will see we'll be able to do as much of installation as possible.
Well, I have many more questions for you, but I'll come back in just a second. Let me also welcome on the budget verdict the DPIIT Secretary as well as the MeitY Secretary, Mr. Krishnan. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us here. DPIIT Secretary, let me start by asking you, the expectation was that there would have been the announcement of more PLI schemes in this budget, which was not the case. The government has decided to stick with the schemes that are currently underway. So an assessment of the schemes that are currently currently underway? And when we last spoke, you said that there might be the requirement of tweaking some of the existing schemes. Where are we on that front, sir?
Okay, thank you, Shireen. As far as the PLI schemes are concerned, as I mentioned the last time, we've got these 14 schemes across 10 departments that are currently running. They've had good success. We've achieved almost 1.28 lakh crores of investment, almost 4 lakh crores of exports, over 10 lakh crores of sales, and over 8 lakhs of employment generation. So in that sense, we've achieved, through the design of the scheme, a situation where we've managed to bring in almost 1/3 of our investment targets while disbursing less than 2% of our disbursement. So in that sense, the scheme has done really well. There are a few sectors which are a little bit behind. Some of them are still in their gestation periods.
Which sectors would these be specifically?
Textiles, some elements of pharma, some tweaking required also in one or two other sectors like bulk drugs. But all of those are now being attended to. What I wanted to really stress was that overall the scheme has really picked up well. And the government's view is that we should wait for these ongoing schemes to really mature, complete those which are still in the gestation period to start disbursing. And thereafter, we look at any further options. Meanwhile, given the imperative of employment, the government obviously has announced these 3 new employment-linked incentive schemes, which we can, of course, talk about later. That is combined with a very broad-based skilling and internship program, which will hopefully also create the employment numbers that the government is really looking for.
I will get to the employment schemes in just a second and talk to you about the DPIIT's involvement in that. But let's talk about an ask that has finally been fulfilled by this budget, and that is the abolition of the angel tax. And I know that the DPIIT has been proposing that to the Finance Ministry for the last several years now. With this finally off the table now with the abolition, how much do you believe it's going to aid sentiment? We have, of course, gone through a funding winter, not just on account of issues like the angel tax, but of what's happening globally and what has happened domestically as well. But how much do you believe that this is going to help revive the funding environment?
Yes, so this is a long-pending ask of the industry, and it is one that DPIIT was convinced about, and we've followed it up very closely, particularly in the context of the current budget. Our view was consistently that this is a tax on investment, and therefore it is trying to tackle an issue which is unrelated to investment, which is the potential fear of some kind of money laundering or which can be, in any case, be tackled by other legal mechanisms that already exist, whether it is the dematerialization of the share certificates, whether it is the PMLA Act. So in that sense, finally, I'm very happy and grateful to the Ministry of Finance and to the Department of Revenue in particular for accepting this long-pending demand. We hope that this will really clear the blocks for a lot of funding, both from domestic investors, VCs, high net worth individuals, as well as from foreign investors, who were worried about the compliance burden that this particular tax was imposing on them, and which made them hesitant to invest in even in ideas that they were convinced about. So yes, we hope to see the end of the funding winter as a result of this.
Well, that certainly is the hope. And let me also welcome on the program Mr. Anurag Jain. He is, of course, looking after significant portions of where the government has decided to park its money in terms of allocation, housing, transport and highways. Mr. Jain, many thanks for joining us here on the program. Mr. Krishnan, let me start by asking you about what the budget has done as far as the sectors that you look after. Duty cuts coming in for mobiles, chargers, duty cuts on lithium, copper, etc. For semiconductors, the display scheme has an allocation of about 6,900 crores. On balance, the growth thrust provided to the sector by the budget, how much do you believe it moves the needle?
I think this is, as you're well aware, electronics and the ITES sector is a real growth sector. And that's something which the economic survey also pointed out in a fair amount of detail. And that's something which has been supported significantly by the budget. Many of the industry requests on the rationalization of the customs duties was carried out. and that should see us doing significantly better, particularly in the export area, because the further growth of electronics, at least the mobile phone sector, is really in terms of exports, because the domestic market is virtually saturated. So the further growth really needs to be there. But there are other areas of electronics where domestic market is still available, but eventually I think all policy relating to electronics in terms of manufacture needs to be linked to exports, simply because that keeps us competitive.
Absolutely.
And that is, I think, the path that the budget has taken, very rightly. And we need to, over time, work on greater value addition within the country and use this opportunity to further hone competitiveness, to see that more component manufacture also takes place in the country. Likewise, if you see the overall budget between the revised estimates of last year and current year's budget, it's gone up about 52% in the case of METI. The main increase is on the semiconductor scheme and on the PLI scheme for both
mobile and hardware.
Both mobile and hardware. Both of them have gone up significantly. But in addition, there are other crucial areas which are smaller but very significant. For instance, the budget provision for R&D has almost doubled. It was 600 crores in last year's BE, about 900 crores in last year's RE, and it's almost 1,200 crores this year. And likewise on cyber security, from about 400 crores to almost 759 crores. So there have been significant increases in crucial parts of what the sector needs to look at.
If you can give us a status check of where things currently stand as far as the semiconductor plan is concerned, and more importantly on the PLI for hardware, because we've seen a bunch of iterations for that scheme to take off. How satisfied do you feel on that front today?
As far as semiconductor is concerned, as we are already aware, 4 specific projects have been cleared. Construction on 1 is going on apace, and we continue to monitor it. The other 3, the construction has just started. They are in the process of doing their detailed planning and so on. So most of them will get done over the next 2 years or so, 2 to 3 years. So that has taken up nearly about 60,000 crores of the overall budget which has been allocated for this purpose. So the commitment that we've given almost amounts to close to 60,000. So out of the 76,000, setting apart what we need for the modernization of the semiconductor laboratory and what we need for the DLI scheme, the Design-Linked Incentive Scheme, which incidentally has also done very well. Almost 25 companies there and doing very well on that front. We've committed practically about close to possibly 70,000 crores out of the 76,000. So with the remaining 6,000 crores, we have smaller schemes on hand, smaller projects on hand, and we will be clearing more of them in the coming months. And we should see, in the next fiscal year, definitely semiconductor manufacture taking place in the country. But having said that, I think we need to recognize that both the Tatas and Micron, from their pilot plants, have commenced actual production. So we can say that.
But full-scale production by the end of FY25, or do you believe?
Sometime in the second half of FY25, I would say around December 25 or thereabouts.
December 25 is when we should see full-scale commercial operations take off. Mr. Jain, let me address many issues to address with you. Let's start with housing, because that's been given a fair amount of attention in the budget and by the Prime Minister as well, and by the government, making that the first decision that the Cabinet decided to take forward. If you can now tell us, in terms of operationalizing that target that's been set out, in terms of the capital allocation that has been provided for, also question marks as far as this inter-subvention or subsidy is concerned, lay out the roadmap for us now as far as the housing scheme is concerned.
Let me tell you that the housing scheme does not get counted as a capital investment because it's a subsidy to the beneficiaries. What gets counted as a capital investment is what we do in metros, what we do in our own housing, CPWD housing. This is actually revenue expenditure. The whole scheme has been drafted, and hopefully very soon we should see the Cabinet approval. This was worked very extensively in consultation with lots and lots of people. And actually, until the cabinet approval happens, it's not fair to disclose the minor details. But broadly, what it will do is that 1 crore that was a cabinet resolution in the first cabinet, that it will honor. It will have a much wider assistance. It will have much more governance reforms which will make the life simpler for the people. It will ensure that the money, like for example, you asked for interest subvention thing. The basic problem, what was happening in the earlier interest subvention, someone who was getting the loan from the banks was just getting another piece of sort of bunch of money from the government. The real problem, which is faced by people who don't have a salary slip, the non-formal sector, they still were not getting the loans. So this time, in consultation with the Finance Ministry, Department of Financial Services, another scheme has been drafted, which the banks are going to launch, where the loans would be encouraged to the non-formal sectors based on their electronic record. Okay. India has done fantastically well in the e-transactions, and that has built like Swanidhi. Now there is a huge transaction, and people have taken their third loan. So similar concept will be passed on to the housing, and housing is relatively a much more secure loan. So that is how we are going to tackle that.
I understand that you can't divulge too many details because you are awaiting cabinet approval, but this has been delayed, hasn't it, sir? I mean, the expectation was that we would have seen this being announced even closer to the interim budget, and there have been concerns on whether there was a consensus as far as the interest subvention itself is concerned. If you can explain to us, what some of the concerns have been and whether those have been addressed.
I said it's the governance reforms. I just explained you that interest subvention was just somebody which was getting the loan otherwise also. Maybe he would have purchased the house otherwise also. It was not an enabling thing.
Yeah.
But this tremendous intervention by Department of Financial Services will ensure the people who were hitherto not getting the loans will get the loans, and they'll get the subsidy also.
Okay, so
other people will also continue to get the loans. But this is large section which was getting unaddressed, because if you have a component like beneficiary-led construction. So if you have a piece of land, you can construct. If in your city you have a affordable housing project, you can go and buy the house. But if you don't have an affordable housing project in your city, you don't have a piece of land, what do? You need to go for a slightly bigger investment. You need to have a bank loan access. And that is what is being enabled. And the focus will move towards the tier 2, tier 3 cities.
And how soon do you expect cabinet approval to come in?
Very soon. It is almost everyone has come on the same page, whoever matters. So hopefully very soon, in the month of August, I think.
Oh, in the month of August itself is. And when do you believe the scheme will be operationalized once the approval comes in?
Immediately. We are already.
You're already ready.
Yes.